like to call the meeting to order this evening. Can we please have a roll call?
Sure, I'm going to do the opening statement and roll call. Let the minutes reflect that adequate notice of the holding of this regular meeting of the Howell Township Council was provided for in the following manner. By the posting of a copy of said notice upon the bulletin board in the Township Municipal Building on January 5, 2017. By the faxing of a copy of said notice to the Tri-Town News, Asbury Park Press, and Star Ledger for information and publication on January 5, 2017. By the filing of a copy of said form of notice in the Township Clerk's office on January 5, 2017. The public will be allowed to attend and will be allowed to participate pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Law. The public is reminded that civility and decorum will be maintained during the meeting. Any contracts awarded at this meeting or between now and the next meeting will be required to comply with the requirements of Public Law 1975, Chapter 127. In accordance with the Fire Prevention Code, be advised that this facility is designed with emergency exits for your safety. The locations are as follows. Upon exiting the meeting room, they are to your left and to your right. Furthermore, smoking is not permitted in the municipal building. Please take note that this meeting is being videotaped for possible future broadcast on Howell Television. Also, no food or beverage is permitted in this room. Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell.
Here.
Mrs. Smith.
Present.
Mr. Walsh.
He will not be joining us.
Mr. Nicastro.
Here.
Mayor Berger.
Here. Mr. Mayfield, can we go into executive today?
Yes, Mayor, we need it for contract negotiations PBA and civil action number 16-2457 for litigation.
Okay.
Motion to go on executive.
Second.
Whereas the governing body of the Township of Howell is authorized pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12 to exclude the public from that portion of the meeting for purposes of discussing specific matters as permitted by NJSA 10:4-12. Whereas the governing body of the Township of Howell intends to discuss certain matters which are deemed confidential pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12. Whereas this time the governing body of the Township of Howell cannot determine the time when the discussion to be held in executive session will be made public, but will disclose the minutes of executive session when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. Now therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the Township of Howell that this meeting shall be adjourned to an executive session, and the public will be excluded in order that the governing body of the Township of Howell may discuss the items previously listed, and upon reconvening this public meeting, the presiding officer will announce, if possible, the time when and the circumstance under which the discussion conducted in executive session will be disclosed to the public. Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Nicastro.
Yes.
Mayor Berger.
Yes. Good evening. The executive session minutes from tonight's meeting can be disclosed to the public when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. May I stand to say the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I would entertain a motion for the meeting minutes from January 30th, 2017 budget meeting, February 6th budget meeting, February 7th special meeting and a public hearing for Green Acres, and February 7th regular meeting, executive session, and public release.
Does anyone need a separate vote for any of those?
I don't think so. I think we're
I think we're
all here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Nicastro.
Yes.
Mayor Berger.
Yes. We have a proclamation of Rare Disease Awareness Month for March 2017.
Whereas in the United States, a disease is considered rare if it afflicts fewer than 200,000 individuals, and whereas there are over 7,000 known rare diseases in the United States, excuse me, I can't pronounce that word. affecting, I'll just skip it, more than 30 million people, over half of them are children, and whereas individuals and families suffering from rare diseases often experience diagnosis delay, difficulty finding a medical expert, and a lack of access to treatment and services, and whereas these diseases can be debilitating and make patients and their families feel isolated by their uncommon experience. 30% of children with a rare disease will not live to see their 5th birthday. And whereas the month of March has been designated Rare Disease Awareness Month to recognize the courage of those fighting rare diseases and to show them that they are not alone. And whereas March 2017, Howell Township will join the Fighting HARD Foundation in this observance. Fighting HARD is a local organization working to assist families facing the challenges that rare diseases present. Now, therefore, Teresa Berger, Mayor of Howell Township, does hereby proclaim March 2017 as Rare Disease Awareness Month in the Township of Howell and urge our citizens to increase awareness and support education and research. March 7th, 2017.
Thank you very much. And we have a recognition here for Chelsea Berwick. What?
Look up front.
Sure.
No, I'll stay up here, thank you.
Chelsea? So this is a certificate of appreciation. Congratulations to Chelsea Berwick, a winner of Howell Alliance, Building a Stronger Community for Howell's Youth. Howell Municipal Alliance Design a Logo Contest, presented this day, the 7th day of March 2017. Congratulations.
Want to tell them a little bit about it?
I entered the contest within my art class, and the teachers encouraged for all of us to enter it. And so I thought it was a good opportunity to spread artwork through the community and to allow people to see the logo and say, oh, that's the Howell Alliance, and to understand what they were doing. So,
How many entered in?
over 50
50 people?
students. Thank you.
Chief Kudrick?
Do you have to go up there?
Oh, sorry.
Here, sorry.
Just to add some notes about Chelsea, what she did. So our alliance, our municipal drug alliance, obviously is a close affiliation to our police department. Corporal Michael Pavlik, who's in the back. Mike, can you just raise your hand? And Gina, who is our student or our school substance abuse counselor for the elementary schools. They're an integral part of our alliance, and they are responsible for getting the alliance back on its feet, so they deserve a lot of credit for this. So we had a design contest, and like the mayor said, it was 50 people, or Councilman DeCastro said 50 people applied for it. It came down to 3. We voted on it at the last meeting, and we picked hers. Part of that is we're going to be putting it on one of our school resource vehicles. Our school resource vehicle is going to be wrapped with all the logos from all of our elementary schools and our high school, and part of that design, her design, is going to be incorporated onto one of our patrol vehicles. so for all to see. So Chelsea, very nice job again on what you did. Was that? That's great. And I thought I was saying something wrong. Very nice job on what you did, and it's going to be exposed on that vehicle for quite some time. So again, very nice job. So I continue to say this, and I say it pretty often. And it's a good thing that I say it quite often, because that means that we have progress in our police department. That one of the privileges and one of the honors that I have as being the chief of police, and it is one of the greatest honors that I have when people ask me, it is to be able to advance by promotion and to appoint through hiring police officers. Being able to advance a current police officer's career and to bring on another police officer and give that officer a chance to fulfill their dreams of becoming a police officer. So I take it very seriously, and like I said, it's just one of the honors, and again, I get to do that again tonight. First, I'm going to start off with Lieutenant Bernard Fowler. Bernie, as I call him, he came to us via the Keene University Police Department. And I say this not in a joking manner, but I always consider part of our law enforcement career the time we spent as police cadets. There's many of us in this room that were police explorers, and Bernie was one of them. He began his law enforcement career with the Rahway Police Explorers. And in fact, when he was an explorer there, I was an explorer in Howell, and we probably competed against each other at the state level. And of course, I probably won, but we won't get into that because it's his night, not mine. So he began as a police explorer with the Rahway Police Department. From there, in 1997, he got hired by the Keene University Police Department, and then he came on board with us in 2000. This is where it gets interesting for me, and certainly for Bernie. At that time in 2000, I was a K-9 officer with the Patrol Narcotics K-9, driving a Chevy Blazer, and I had the privilege of being assigned as Bernie's field training officer. So, fortunately, he didn't need training. That's a good part. He actually taught me through the 3 months that we were together, but it was him in the passenger seat, sometimes me in the passenger seat, but K-9 Blitz, my partner at the time, was always with us. So just imagine us three driving around in this little Blazer. It looked like a little circus clown, but I can guarantee you we didn't face much trouble at all from the bad guys, I can tell you that much. So it was a very good 3 months. So from there, from 2000, obviously he quickly rose up the ranks. He became a sergeant. Between that time, he was on the Emergency Services Unit, which is now called MOSERT, which is the Monmouth County Emergency Response Team, which is our regionalized SWAT team that Howell became an integral part of. In 2010, he made sergeant. After a brief stint in the patrol division, he went over to the training bureau, and this is where he excelled. So, in the training bureau, he was responsible for the field training program, which is our FTO program, which is the most important program in our police department. It's training new police officers. Active killing program, you guys probably know that as active shooter program. He's an instructor throughout the entire county, and Howell is looked upon by many departments to provide that training, and plus we keep advancing it. We keep taking it to the next level, and Bernie is absolutely responsible for that. He's responsible for conducting all the firearms qualifications for over 100 of our officers. That includes our SLEO 2s, who have to go through the same training as our police officers. Equipment procurement, anytime I need something, I go to him, and I say this is what I need, and I need it done, and he gets it done. Advanced Patrol Tactics course, which takes the patrol officer and it takes them to a different level. It's all volunteer based. It's a multi-week course stretching over a few months where it trains the average patrol officer, and by average, I don't mean that in any type of disrespect, but we take it to a next level and train them in all advanced tactics, similar to what our tactical officers receive. He conducts our in-house academy, responsible for providing all the training and setting up all the training for all of our police officers. And if any of you guys have kids, you know what that's like trying to organize type of events. Just imagine that times 100. And also for the police explorers, that just touches on some of the responsibilities that he does. I consider him my right-hand man. He holds many certifications to include being a New Jersey State police instructor. Defensive tactics, firearms, less lethal, conducted energy device, which is known as TASER. We're only one of 2 police departments in Monmouth County that deploy TASERs out on the road. Tactical instructor, and numerous others, too long to list here. He's currently a tactical team leader for MOCERT, and like I said, there was no one better. And he is directly responsible for Howell officers being the most highly trained and skilled officers in the country, and I do say that with the utmost confidence. He's my go-to officer. He gets it done, and he gets it done to the highest level I expect. As a lieutenant, he will continue to serve in the services division, overseeing training in our full-time EMS unit, not to mention he is an EMT as well. Add to that to his resume. And I always say this department in the law enforcement community is very fortunate to have Lieutenant Fowler amongst our ranks. So one quote that Bernie's known for, and I'll share it with all of you. If you want a friend, adopt a dog. That's it all. He's all about business. So I'd like to call forward Lieutenant Bernard Fowler and his family.
You can cheat.
Yeah. You guys want to hold it? You don't hold it.
Right hand up. Repeat after me. I,
I,
say your name,
Bernie Fowler,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to
and I will bear full faith and allegiance to
the same
the same
and to governments established in the United States
and to governments established in the United States
and in the state under the authority of the people,
and in the state under the authority of the people,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I do further solemnly swear
I do further solemnly swear
that I will impartially
that I will impartially
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties of the office of,
perform all the duties of the office of Lieutenant
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Sworn and subscribed before me today, the 7th day of March of 2017.
Hold things up here. Right here.
Today's date is 3/7. Your name? And skip, and just sign off the winner. Congratulations.
Okay, next up is Patrolman Ryan Jackson. Ryan, you got to follow up, Bernie. Where you at? Where you at? All right, come on up with your family. So Ryan began his law enforcement career in 2012 with the Point Pleasant Beach Police Department doing parking enforcement. And you'll see with a lot of the officers that we hire here in Howell, we look to see what type of interest they had at an early level, whether they're involved in the volunteer service, if they're involved in Boy Scouts, if they do coaching, if they start off in security work at the mall, parking enforcement, special officer, anything that shows us a sincere desire to become a police officer at an early age. And we watch that transition throughout their teenage years and into their 20s, to the point that we have a person standing before us here who went through that, and we recognize that. So in 2013, he put himself through the alternate program. It's called the alternate route. It's Monmouth County Police Academy. It's very selective on who they choose to go into that. It's very competitive. You have to have a very good background, have outstanding character and references and work ethic in order to be selected. And what you do is you get put into the police academy with police officers that have been hired by other agencies. So he goes in there basically as an undrafted pick going into the academy. Pays for his own way, pays for his uniform. I don't know whether or not you held the job. Some do, Some are just so committed to the academy that they stop working for a while. That way they could call their attention to the academy. So it takes a lot of commitment for an officer to do that. We actually currently have one in right now doing that. And it pays off in the end, because at the end of the academy, he has that golden ticket, that certification, that Class A certification that police departments look for. He was picked up by the Neptune City Police Department in 2013, and for the past 3.5 years, he diligently served with Neptune City. I always say Howell Police is the all-star team, and we make our selections from the very best of all the police departments, and here's another example of that here tonight. He has a 4-year degree in law and justice from Rowan University. His father, who is in attendance, is with him up here, is a retired police chief from Eatontown. His brother is up here, is a patrol officer with the Howell Township Police Department. So you see him many times that it is tradition amongst families. So I welcome Ryan Jackson to our ranks. I'm very proud to have him. I introduce you, Ryan Jackson.
I, Ryan Jackson,
Do
solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and I will bear true faith
and I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same
and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States,
and in the state under the authority of the people,
and to the state under the authority of the people,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I do further solemnly swear
I do further solemnly swear
that I will impartially
that I will impartially
and justly
and justly
perform all of the duties of the office of,
perform all the duties of the office of patrolman,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I swear you in on today for the 7th day of March of 2017. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, gee, Ryan.
Lieutenant Fowler, it's all yours. All right.
Thank you, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I'm proud to announce for the first time in the history of our police department the implementation of a chaplaincy program. In Howell Township, we formally recognize a partnership with various faith-based leaders of the community to respond and assist police officers with providing an overall better quality of service to the residents of this great town. The police department recognizes the influence and impact that faith-based leaders have in people's lives within the community. The police department works in partnership with qualified religious leaders, regardless of the denomination, who are able to respond during a crisis or time of need to provide a more personalized quality of service to our residents. The intended outcome is to have the police and clergy working together during certain incidents that have a more comprehensive response that will be given to those who are in need. The clergy member will perform tasks of a more emotional or social nature, while the officer handles those tasks that are of a law enforcement nature. The chaplain program is to provide support for police officers and civilians who are basically stressed in either a social or emotional way. Chaplains are there to provide appropriate assistance, advice, comfort, counsel, and referrals to those in need who request such support. Police chaplains may also be asked to do the following: console employees experience personal problems at the employee's request, attend funerals, viewings of the officers and/or families, visit the sick at home or in hospitals, assist with death notifications, respond to scenes of tragedy such as homicides, suicides, fatals, and child deaths, which have an impact most greatly on police officers. While on ride-alongs or when requested, will be available to assist officers as they handle calls for service such as domestics, neighborhood disputes, etc. The chaplains have been certified through the police chaplaincy program, and many of them are now certified as recovery coaches as we deal with the opiate abuse addiction problem here in Howell. So we took it one step further with our opiate abuse policy that we have here in the police department, whereas not only do we have recovery coaches going out to the scene of these overdoses, we also now have a chaplain going out there. So we provide that spiritual or any type of support to the family members if they don't want to deal with the regular recovery coach. So it's just another step that we're doing here in the police department in order to enhance the quality of service that we provide to our communities. We never had this before, and we recognize it in the police department. It was much needed. So I'd like to call up our chaplains that are being sworn in tonight. There was a selection process. We had a 2-week open enrollment period, and these are the chaplains that expressed the initial interest. We had several others that are basically on standby, and as soon as we get additional funds and we expand our program even further, we're going to be inviting them to join our ranks. So I'd like to introduce you from Cornerstone Calvary Chapel Church right here on Route 9 in Howell is Pastor Christopher McCarrick, Michael McCarrick, Vincent, can you come up also, Blythe, Colin Thompson, and Alex Padov. From Ardena Baptist Church, where I spent many summers in vacation Bible school, playing volleyball, running through that creepy cemetery on mischief night, Thomas Dedamore. From Emmanuel Bible Church on West Farms Road, James Casey. James? K&A Shul Temple, Seth Haber. And from New Jersey Chaplains Association, Israel Bernstein and Yakov Wagner. No, you're good. It's all yours.
Your right hand. Ready? I. Say your name.
Alexander Wife,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith
and I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same
and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established in the United States
and the governments established of the United States
and in this state
and in the state,
under the authority of the people,
and under the authority of the people,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I do further solemnly swear
I do further solemnly swear
that I will impartially
that I will impartially
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties of the office of,
perform the duty of the office of chaplain,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Today I swear you in before everyone here on the 7th day of March, 2017. Congratulations.
Okay, so just sign away. Today's day, well, you know what, why don't we make it easy? Name, your office, and just your signature. I'll fill in the rest.
I got 3 layers on, so this is all wool. Oh. So obviously, none of this would be possible, the hires, the promotions, the appointments, none of this would be hired without the support, the continued support of the mayor and council and the manager. So on behalf of all the men and women of the Howell Township Police Department, I thank you for your continued support. Thank you.
Thank you.
She got the memo on this. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. No problem. Of course. We picked up a good man. We picked up a good man.
Do we have the reports from the township officials?
Not tonight, Mayor.
Thank you very much.
I do.
Oh, please.
I have something too,
Okay.
quick.
Additions that have been placed on the agenda, from the preliminary to the final agenda, include Resolution R-17-112, 9/8/24, authorize award of New Jersey State Contract 88758 for a 2017 Ford F-350 extended cab and chassis 4x4 9-foot utility body truck, Winter Ford, $43,898.50. Resolution R-17-113, 9/8/25, appoint labor attorney. Motion 9B3, renewal secondhand dealer license, the Jewelry Link. Remove motion 9B2, renewal coin-operated games license, Side Pocket Billiards. And that's what I have, the changes to the agenda.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Smith?
You want to start with me?
Or do you have a report?
Just to bring everybody up to speed, the Monmouth County had come in and had a meeting with the Environmental Commission, and in essence, it appears that they're pulling in all of the data from the different groups such as Environmental Commission, Wildlife Restoration, I assume Green Team, anything that we may have at our disposal in terms of information, reports, things that we could share with the county so that they can now put together their list of things that they'd like to do and what it is that we've done so they don't superimpose and try to do the same thing that we're doing, so we can do more shared services and hopefully get more things from the county that'll come to the aid of, the residents, such as trails and that type of thing. So they did meet. It was a very good presentation by Mr. Glitz. I believe I'm saying his name correctly. I did email him after his presentation. It was very thorough, and it was very good to have him there. So any information that we have that we'd like to share with the county, they are more than happy to have it so that they can further their endeavors.
And aren't they updating their open space?
Yes. Yes, so hopefully, and not just how, all of the municipalities can share the information, and of course, the more we share, we're hopeful that we'll be given a great deal of consideration in some of our projects. So an open relationship with the county is very important and very lucrative for Howell Township.
Thank you. Ms. Smith?
I just have something quick. As you all know, we are going through the process of preserving the Hillpot Farm. It's traditionally the Hillpot Farm, but it's the family is now Gil Martin, this generation that owns the farm. We've come to the time when we need to vote for the go-ahead to pay for the appraisals, and I'll need a vote now. So if I could make a motion that we pay for the appraisals for the Gil Martin Hillpot Farm.
I'm sorry, just as a point of information, do we have a price on the appraisals?
It's estimated at $8,000, but we don't have a firm number yet, but we expect it to be in that ballpark.
I'd be happy to make a second on that motion.
Roll call?
Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes,
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes.
and we don't pay for that until the end, when we pay for our portion of the preservation. And judging by the most recent farm, which is in the same area, the Thompson Farm last year, our total financial contribution for 73 of the most fertile land in the United States, not just New Jersey or Monmouth County, was approximately $180,000. And this is about one-third the size, so I'm guessing that our contribution won't go over $100,000 for another farm preserved. Isn't that wonderful?
Yes.
Very good.
Excellent news.
That's all.
Mayor, just one thing. I received an email from a student from Howell High School, and they asked if I would give notice of an event that they are doing in Howell High School on Sunday, April 23rd, to support autism awareness. And in the description, it says that they're going to do a color run, and they're raising funds for a nonprofit organization called POC, P-O-A-C, which provides education to parents of newly diagnosed children. In addition, they educate police, EMS, and fire departments throughout the state on how to deal with situations with the family that have a child with autism. All the services they provide are free, thanks to fundraisers like the color run that they're going to be doing at Howell High School. They expect about 500 people to attend, and it's a $25 cost, so they're hoping to raise over $10,000 for this organization. Jeff, I have a flyer, so I'm going to ask that we be able to put that maybe on the Township Facebook page.
No problem.
You know, the kids in Howell High School and throughout the community do great, things to support organizations as such, and whatever way we can help them get that word out to the community.
We'll put it on the
I
Facebook,
appreciate it.
and we can put it on the website, too.
Excellent.
If you give me the copy, we'll have it first thing tomorrow morning.
Excellent, thank you.
No problem.
And that's all I have.
Thank you. So we have the hearing of citizens and public comment on consent agenda items.
Might as well open it for everything at one time.
I'll open it for everything at this time.
Anything you want to say.
Barbara Dixell?
I made it, this gentleman's got to leave to go someplace, I put an arrow there, so I put him ahead of me.
Paul?
No. Barry Siegel.
No, Paul.
No, Paul.
Oh, Paul, oh, I'm sorry. I thought he was moving to Barry. Oh, you've been waiting a long time. You were in here.
Yeah, I was just here 6 months ago. They're using my road, Arnold Boulevard, as the main truck route to Lakewood Industrial Park. Plus, there's some kind of recycle place. All the trucks are using that. Find out what kind of progress they were making on it. If they heard anything on that.
I'm sorry, did you give your name and address? Did I just?
No.
If you could give your name and address.
Paul Rayberger, 147 Arnold Boulevard.
Thank you.
So that's basically it. I mean, it's used as the main truck route. I explained last meeting, I know you weren't here yet, but, you got 80,000-pound trucks, 40-ton trucks. They need a 35-foot turn radius. They only got 5. So they're coming around the corner. I've seen them going into school buses. Coming around the corner, they're going into the other lane, into the shoulder. And I'm just worried there's going to be a major tragedy out there. And the other thing, too, that I was mentioned at the last time I was here, was that they took my road, the police department, for whatever reason. It was approved for a no passing zone. And for some reason, they made it into a passing zone. Now, all of a sudden, all these cars are speeding down the road, going around these trucks. I'm calling, just going back when Chief Carter was there, I'm calling Chief Carter, I'm faxing over memos, I never got an answer back. I tried to explain to them there's going to be a tragedy out there. Unfortunately, there was a head-on collision, and we almost lost two little kids. Two little girls were laying on the side of the road, and one of them took about 3 months before they even knew the kid was going to make it. So I believe Mrs. Smith directed the police department at that time to look back into that. Evidently, they did nothing with that.
We all did.
The speed limit is 35 miles an hour. The guy went out there, did a traffic study, I don't know why, but he did, and 80% of the vehicles are doing 50 miles an hour. So instead of increasing patrols, they want to raise the speed limit. They want to raise it up to 50 now, which doesn't make any sense. The situation is
No, it
bad
doesn't.
enough, they're definitely going to wind up
Can we
getting
do it
somebody
like that?
killed.
The police department did, after you were here several months ago, they did provide feedback that I kept with me for several months during these meetings, just in case you came back. I don't have it with me now. I know that they did some studies, and I can get you that information.
Yeah, well, nobody asked them to do a study. We're fine with the 35 mile an hour speed limit. I don't know why the guy even did it.
Well, that was part of the process, and once they identify a certain percentile above the posted speed limit, they are supposed to, by state law, change it to that level.
Well, I can tell you right now, when I had that speed limit of 50 miles an hour, the cars were sliding off the road at the end. I even got pictures of it. My daughter came about maybe 12 inches away from getting killed. Two other little kids almost got killed getting on and off the school buses. Telephone poles, people coming around the corner hitting telephone. I can tell you right now, if you want to put that speed limit back up to 50 miles an hour, you're going to wind up condemning someone to death.
I know the police department's looked into the passing zone, the speed limit, and the intersection with regard to the turning radius for the trucks. And the things that they're able to make changes for, they don't feel are justified at this time based upon the data that they've gathered.
Well, that doesn't make any sense at
No,
all.
it doesn't make any sense.
I'm going to tell you right now, too. Because the police department went up on Kent Road. They put a 4-ton weight restriction on it. They claimed that there was 35 heavy trucks coming through there an hour, which is a total fabrication. Because there's a bridge there with a 15-ton weight restriction, you're talking 40-ton trucks. So once they lied about the trucks, they had to go ahead and continue falsify said that there was no weight restriction on a bridge. And they got the whole thing approved by the DOT. Not to mention the fact that Kent Road goes into an adjacent town, which should have made it even more difficult, but they pushed the whole thing right through.
Jeff, as far as the speed limit goes, doesn't the fact that there are, the number of houses enter into that?
That, it does.
Well,
It does come
Absolutely
into,
does. It was approved by DOT, a 35 mile an hour speed limit because of the amount of frontage, residential frontage on the road, and it met that criteria.
So then how could they raise it to 50?
well, I don't think they have.
They wanted to.
And I'd have to check with the data that they gathered, but I know if it gets to a certain level, although they take those things into consideration.
Well, that might be fine for the cars going down the road, but that's not going to do anybody. As little kids live up and down that road, and I'm telling you right now, when they had that thing at 50 miles an hour, I saw my daughter come about 12 inches away from getting turned into a pile of chop meat, if you excuse me. If you go ahead and put that at 50 miles an hour, you're definitely going to condemn somebody to death. You got trucks coming through there, they're coming around that corner, you need a 35-foot turning radius. This is information given to me from the town engineer. There's only a 5. Got 40-ton trucks coming not only into the adjacent lane, but into the adjacent lane's shoulder. And the road's used by three schools with little kids on all these school buses. Absolutely out of control. The road's collapsing. The trucks are definitely overloaded.
Did we ever relook that?
And then the Howell Township Police Department came up with another excuse. There was like a storage warehouse. They used to put furniture in it. And they said that all the trucks was coming out of there, and it was sold. They're not using it for that anymore, which is another total fabrication. There was one truck came out of there a week. It didn't even come down on a boulevard. Went back up the other way to 547.
Mayor, if I may.
Please.
And I just want to try to address, so I don't want to get into the dispute of facts or, who
Well,
fabricate.
whatever I'm saying, I have the documentation to
That's
back it
okay.
up, just so you know that. I
That's-
have all the
that-
reports.
We rely heavily on our professionals and our police department. But with all that said, I think the manager said that he has some documents that are going to be provided to all of us, and I think we'll provide it to this resident as well. Jeff, I
No
think we could, if the warrants were done and that's still, Randolph it is?
Arnold Boulevard.
Arnold, that's still a township road. We would be able to lobby DOT, I guess, if we didn't want to raise the,
Yes, and I'm trying to find out actually right now.
Yeah.
I was paying attention. I'm trying to find out right now if there's any intention to raise that speed limit or not.
Oh,
Because I
no.
know it's not right now.
yeah.
No, basically what happened was, I don't even know why the guy went out there. He went out there, put this device out.
There's certain requirements that are required by law, whether we understand.
Well, no, I can explain why, Mr. Rayberger, is because you said that there's been an excessive speeding problem. So what they do is they put a traffic counter and a speed measuring device out there to see if what you're claiming is accurate or not. Because I got to tell you, more often than not, when people claim that, it's not accurate. We can back it up with the data. Unfortunately, this data worked the opposite direction for you.
Well, according to the information from the town engineer, 80% of the vehicles were doing 50 miles an hour instead of 35. If that's not a speeding problem, I don't know what is. And now the guy wants to raise the speed limit? That doesn't make any sense.
We're looking into it. We'll get the information.
You got truck after truck coming down there. The last excuse I heard was that all the trucks were gonna go down Lakewood Ellenwood Road, which doesn't make any sense. It's putting about 5 miles out of the way. I had to let the guy know that's impossible. There's a bridge with a weight restriction on it.
I think the council would like to review the documents that Mr. Mayfield has, and then we can get back to you.
Well, I'd like to bring in my documents too and show you what I have.
Absolutely.
Maybe next meeting,
Sure,
you could take a look at it?
absolutely.
Okay.
If I may, there's just, I
Please.
do have one concern. Mr. Mayfield, can you just go back and check on information that the township engineer had given, I'm sorry, I've forgotten your last name,
Ray Berger.
Mr. Ray Berger, so that we can understand what it was that he was given and then what's transpired since then?
No problem.
I wanna be
There-
certain
I
that
know
we
the
have-
police department has a file on Arnold Boulevard that's probably 4 inches thick because this has been brought up time and time again, and we've come to the same conclusion each time. But I'll be happy to get that information for you and provide it to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, the only thing they did was, like I said, the speed survey. And 80% of the cars are doing 15 miles an hour over the speed limit. So instead of going out there and patrolling it, they want to raise the speed limit.
We'll review the
Well, we
documents.
already had it approved by the DOT years ago. The Howell Township Police Department didn't want to do it. We had to hire an outside engineering department to do it. And it met the criteria at a big cost to the Howell Township taxpayers.
For the lower speed.
To bring it to 35, which it was supposed to be. They put it mistakenly at 50. That's when all the trouble began. That's when the kids almost got killed. Cars are sliding, I got pictures of it, cars are sliding off the end of the road. Telephone poles are getting knocked down, and that's when the trucks started using the road. They put it at 50, it was supposed to be at 35 the whole time. But they didn't want to change it because he said it was going to cause too much work for him. He said it might set a, this is what the traffic guy at the time told me. They didn't want to set a precedent because everybody would want their speed limit reduced and it would create more work for them. That was their excuse.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. This is what the people are telling me. And like I said, I got a ton of documents where they're falsifying reports, coming up with stuff that doesn't make any sense. I can show you the statute that the roadway meets the criteria. It's simple stuff. It's not rocket science. I got everything in writing. I can bring it whenever you want. I'll bring it to you.
Neighborhoods change, building goes on, traffic patterns change. So consequently, we often see changes in speed limits. So that doesn't hold any water.
Absolutely, yeah. You can't have cars coming through residential neighborhoods. There's little kids that live up and down that road. People trying to pull out of their driveways. People are going around these trucks. Whole situation's totally out of control. And someone's gonna, believe me, someone's gonna get killed. I already requested, like I said, I called up Chief Carter, sent the memos. I never got a phone call back. I told him it was gonna be a head-on collision, something bad's gonna happen, and it did.
We'll see what we can do.
If you could forward the pictures that you have to Mr. Mayfield?
I already gave it to him.
Okay. Okay,
All right. I'll come by
Well-
next meeting.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
evening, and thank you for waiting.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Barbara Dixell?
Thank you very much. The gentleman said he needed to leave, and he came in before we did, so,
That was very kind,
so I
thank you.
said, just let him go ahead of me. Because he
Thank
was
you.
sitting here waiting, and I said, okay, go ahead of me. Okay. Good evening, Mayor and Council, Barbara Dixell, 62A Piazza Vittoria, Freehold, New Jersey. I got a couple of things I need to talk about tonight. Hold on. Jerry, can I have the agenda? Jerry, yoo-hoo. I need the agenda, I don't know where it is. Anyway, I also have to read, I'm going to give you part of a Matitakong River Watershed Report, liaison report. I received the, thank you, 2016-17 annual report. It's a nice size document, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it to you in pieces, because otherwise we'll be here forever. So I'm going to read that first.
Maybe you should just forward the whole thing to us and have it
Well,
copied.
it's my job to deliver the
Well,
report.
it's your jo-
I am the appointed liaison to the Matitakong River Watershed Commission, and it is my obligation to report to the township and the mayor and council, which I am doing. March 7, 2017, to the mayor and council, Howell Township, regarding the Matitakong River Watershed Liaison Report. I spoke with Rob Carl of Brick Utilities today to ask him if he wanted me to report to the Howell Council, and please note the following. The Moses Milch Stormwater Project has been completed. Plants are now being used in the basin for drainage as well as for the continued health and pleasant appearance of the basin. Rob Carl told me that there is a new round of grant funding coming for stormwater projects. So if Howell Township has additional needs to fix a stormwater project problem or to do some stormwater management on others, please call Rob Carl and Jim Herman. It's coming soon, so you need to get it in. Barnegat Bay, I'm taking this out of the beginning of the report. The health of the bay and the water quality is vital to the entire area. In addition to boating, fishing, and other recreational activities being a major concern, there are concerns over high nutrients, low oxygen, pollutants such as fertilizer runoff from private homes, garbage being discarded into the bay by careless people, damaged marshes and seagrass that feed the fish and other inhabitants of the bay, as well as stormwater drainage and climate change damage. Rob Carl, Stan Hales, as well as other local officials and citizens continue to have a collaborative effort in working toward keeping Barnegat Bay a healthy, safe, and viable major waterway. We must, no matter what, work to ensure that future generations of New Jersey residents will be able to use and enjoy a safe, functioning Barnegat Bay. There is also ongoing New Jersey DEP water quality monitoring at Barnegat Bay, with water samples constantly being collected. Ocean and coastal acidification monitoring is also being done, as there is an increase of acidity and carbon dioxide levels in Barnegat Bay and in the Earth's oceans and coastal waters that can adversely affect the fish and other aquatic creatures their health and their future population. The Barnegat Bay Annual Report 2016-2017 is a large one, so I will continue to report on its contents to the governing body of Howell Township. Okay, that's this. One or two questions on that, and then I have to talk about another report. Okay, I see you're going to do the aerial spraying again, you guys. Okay, and once again, Mayor, you're not aware of this, but every year I ask the same question. Somebody call Wendell Manson and tell him to stay home and take his horse off the road, because many years ago, unfortunately, Mr. Nansen was out in his field and working in his field, and they sprayed, and Wendell Nansen got sprayed, got deathly ill, wound up in the hospital for many months, and his horse nearly died. So every year we do this, and every year I get up here and say the same thing. Please call Wendell Manson and tell him to stay home.
Mayor, it's been 5 minutes.
You know what? I have something else to talk about. Thank you. Okay, the 9A20. And what do they do? It's still the same thing, just changing performance guarantee with maintenance guarantee?
That's correct.
All right. And they're not talking about opening the back of Wyckoff, are they?
No.
Okay. One other thing I need to talk to you about. Many years ago, I was involved with other people in here, and one gentleman by the name of Stanley Mosteniak, which unfortunately has passed away, gave me a lot of reports. And one of the reports that I do have, we had many, many waterways in Howell Township, some of which have been built over, but there's one waterway that's called Du Bois Creek. In 1995, I was given the Du Bois Creek, Monmouth County, Du Bois Creek Pollution Report, done by the Monmouth County Board of Health. And the reason why I'm telling you this is that the Rutgers Farm is going to be redeveloped. Halls Mill Road is going to get rebuilt and become a county road into Edinburgh, and it's all going to get hooked up. The construction's going to start in 2018, and right now Rutgers is fixing their dam for the agricultural students in their program, so that when this road gets done, these students will have enough water to feed whatever they're growing. But Du Bois Creek is violently polluted. And I sent a letter, hand-delivered a letter, to Joseph Attore, the Monmouth County engineer, and to Mr. Fred Piseggio, this Halls Mill Creek project manager. And I gave it to them, and because the water is coming from, the pollution is coming from the Nestle's plant and from Burke's Creek, which was once a Superfund site. And there's Three Brooks Road comes across. So the water is coming across from Nestle's on Three Brooks Road, Three Brooks, and it's probably heading to Du Bois Creek that goes in back of all the stores and Acme, crosses Route 9, and ends up at Moore's Landing with the Manasquan River and Battle Meadow Brook and the Long Brook. So I told them, and I'm telling you guys, that before they put one shovel in the ground to rebuild that road, I want them to take care of the violent pollution that's in Du Bois Creek. The words are so long I can't even pronounce them. And I will deliver a report to the council. I've given it to them. I haven't heard from them. I think they're a little bit angry at me because I'm putting my big mouth and 2 cents into it. But I have that report, and I don't want them redoing this road or anything else and buying the houses there that they have to go rebuild this road without fixing the pollution in this Du Bois Creek. It's violent. It was a Superfund site. They got to do something before they go and they build in 2018. That's all I have to say.
Actually, you know what I was going to ask? The reports that you have, would you be able to forward them to us so we can review them before the meetings?
Well, I don't usually get to do them. Why? Because then you're going to shut me down and tell me, yeah, I got the report and that, thank you very much?
Well, no, we could discuss the report when you get in, but
Well, half the time, that's my husband. I'm there just before the meeting, sitting on my computer, just doing what I have to do. I don't get to do it all the time. But this thing that I gave to Joe Attore and Piseggio, I did it a couple of days ago. We hand-delivered it to them. Haven't heard from them. So now John Curley's my next victim that's going to get a phone call
Okay.
and the visits. Because it's 1995, it was years ago. I'm sure this guy, Fred Paseggio, wasn't even around in those days. Joe Ator may have been, but not Paseggio. And like I said, before they go and they dig it up and spread this, whatever they're going to spread all over the place and dig this roadway up, they need to fix it. Or address the contamination, or call Brinkerhoff, or do something. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I will give you the Du Bois Creek report.
Please.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry to yell at you. Tammy, I'm sorry to say what I had to just,
Way over, Barbara, way.
oh, sorry. I had to say what I had to say. I have to give the reports when I have to give them.
You can check on all that.
Charles O'Donnell?
Could I do a point of order to the council while members are speaking? Please have the officials off the cell phones to give their attention to the people. I think it's not important for them.
Mine's a
to keep on
timer.
looking at their cell phones.
I believe Penny's using it as a timer.
Yep.
No, I'm not talking to her. I'm talking about your other officials. They're busy on their cell phones while people are talking. They can shut it off or put it down. This is important.
I'm actually conducting work. Many of them were related to the issues that come up at the mic.
Your financial officer is just looking through it. That's not important material.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Charles O'Donnell, 27 Barron Meadow Lane, Howell, New Jersey. I wanted to ask some questions on R17-89, also known as 9A.1. The authorization to participate in the Monmouth County Aerial Surveillance and Treatment Program. I believe this is the annual mosquito control program.
Yes.
It's my impression that this will include literally flybys to locate areas of stagnant water, followed by, again, flybys to apply pesticides to those stagnant water.
Yes.
As part of that, should they also be attempting to drain said water? And the reason I ask that is there is approximately a quarter acre in total of stagnant water, 1.25 miles from my house. It's known as the Pool Club on on Fort Plains. It is still full of water. It has a new fence around it, but it has no lid on it, and the pools are still there. It's been 11 years. So now they're going to fly by, spread pesticide, dose Toscana and Point of Woods, as well as myself and my neighbors.
Just for your assurance or comfort, it is organic material. It's not anything that's going to bother you.
I'll bring you a glass of it, ma'am, and then we can chug it together. All right? It's not that I doubt you, and I believe that it's probably perfectly safe. However, for 11 years you've had a problem there. In 11 years, they haven't resolved it. My understanding is they're currently have several fines, outstanding fines, and that they eventually will get around to removing the pools and remediating the issue. But it's been 11 years, and this year will be the same way. Monmouth County is going to spend time and our money, and the problem's not going to go away. So, anyway, does anyone have any idea where we stand on that swim club and the remediation and removal of the pools?
I know that it's all in the courts. I don't know the exact court date at this time, but I know that the summonses have been issued. I know that the responsible parties have finally been identified. As you know, Mr. O'Donnell, it took quite a while to be able to...
I was able to get them in 15 minutes, and it took you almost a month, but
Well-
that's okay.
And now it's in the hands of the courts.
Okay, so it's in the courts system. Now, during this period of time, their condemned property and et cetera it's lowering the value of my property. You do understand that? It's basically a boarded-up building.
I'm not familiar with the facility, I'm sorry.
Okay. I would recommend that you drive down Fort Plains Road past Toscana on your way to Point of Woods. It will be on the left-hand side. It will be the large building with the combination of old white and new unpainted wood, fence, and boarded-up windows.
Are the pools in the building?
No, the pools are outside of the building behind the new fence they put up so you couldn't see it. Unfortunately, the old fence is in such bad condition that portions of it are falling down. Okay? So you can just walk up to the fence and look through the slats and it's there. It has been for 11 years.
At this point, though, if it's in the courts, is there anything that we can do?
Not really. We're going to prosecute it. The courts have already been told that we want to have go for it, the most steep fines that we possibly can. And again, the identity of the owner took probably more than a month in all reality, and it wasn't as simple as it's been portrayed here in my estimation, but we're moving on it. And again, the things that are in violation have been enforced. They're in the courts at this point, and I know some of the things up there is a bit of an eyesore, but some of the things that are complained about frequently are actually in compliance. So it's good in the hands of the courts at this point, and the things that we can prosecute, we're prosecuting. And we've already made it very clear to everyone over in our court that we really are pushing for the harshest penalties we possibly can get.
And what are the harshest penalties that you can get on this?
I'm not sure, because there's a variety of fines that could be taken into consideration here. And it's ultimately up to the judge.
In other words,
Okay.
what we can do is being done.
Yeah, you are doing something on it. We would like to have that date so that my wife and several of the other neighbors can do a victim's impact statement to the judge, if possible, so that
Sure, I know I've actually updated your wife several times as this come forward, but for one reason or another, it's been postponed within the courts. I'll find out, and I'll pass it along to your wife again,
Okay.
no problem.
So anyway, that's an issue. Now, the other thing that came up within the consent items is and I'm sorry, how much time do I have?
We're at 3:36. 3
Okay.
minutes, 36 seconds.
Excellent. Okay, it was the geographic location using the geosync for the satellites, 17109. Okay. For the graphic information systems, aerial imagery. When that is complete, will it be available to the residents of Howell?
That's a good question. I can
Since
give
we're
it-
paying for it.
We are. I can't say with certainty, but I'm gonna guess it probably will be.
Excellent.
I'm just not sure. But
It'll
I'll
be better than
find
the
out.
Google Maps I have to use today.
Yeah, I'll find out.
Okay, excellent.
I'm
Thank
just
you
not
very
sure.
much.
But I know it is something that's been an agreement with the county that we did have to pay for, so therefore the taxpayers did pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it probably will be, but let me just verify that to be sure.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Osborne?
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
And council members. I'm back here to talk about the Equal Pay Act again, and I wanted to thank you for your response, for the deputy mayor for his response to me, and for the meeting that I was able to have with Ms. O'Donnell. I appreciate your time. I'm back again because the act and the override of the governor's veto is still pending, and there's still a chance for Howell Township's council to weigh in on the bill and help it get passed. The council members who did contact me indicated that they support the concept of the Equal Pay for Women for Equal Work Act, and that's good, and it has been the law of the land since 1963 that you aren't supposed to discriminate against people in terms of their wages based on their gender. However, it's been 50 years or more since 1963 when that law was first passed, and despite the civil rights laws that are mandating it, there's still a wage gap. In the U.S., all things staying the same, with the same laws as they currently exist, there will not be equal pay for equal work for women until the year 2056, almost 40 more years. A gender pay gap exists across the world, and women are still not present in equal numbers in business or politics. According to the World Economic Forum, the worldwide gender pay gap will not close until 2186. The U.S., as the leader of the free world, has an obligation to lead on this issue and show the world what policies can be implemented to achieve the right result for women and to get them to equal pay. Moving toward equal pay would lower the poverty level for working women by half and would infuse additional income into the state's economy. That being the case, it's clearly true that it's clear that if we are truly in favor of achieving parity for women in terms of their economic power and ensuring that they will not be economically dependent on the government to meet their needs, it's time to try something new, and that's what they're trying to do in New Jersey. Here, on the level of a local council in the state of New Jersey, I am asking you to be a part of the effort, to be on the right side of history, not on the sidelines, and take a stand and urge our district senator, Robert Singer, to vote in favor of the legislative override of Governor Christie's veto. Senator Weinberg's bill has broad support and did pass both houses of the New Jersey Assembly. Senator Singer even voted for it the first time. Governor Christie, in vetoing the legislation, made some claims in a signing statement that just don't hold up to scrutiny. He said it would be contrary to existing law, but that's the entire point. You want to go further. If you were going to just keep the law the same, there would be no need for new legislation. He said that the law provides no limitation on the amount of back pay an employee can recover when claims are made about employment discrimination. But that's not true. They can only get the back pay for periods that they can show they were discriminated against in terms of their wages. Currently, the law states that you can only get 2 years of back pay, even if you've been discriminated against in terms of your pay for 10 or 20 years. Why shouldn't you get the full amount that you would have gotten but for the discrimination? So that shows why the law is necessary. Most importantly, Governor Christie misrepresents that the legislation would eliminate any consideration of whether employees' work is equal. If you look at the act at page 15 of the bill, subsection T, it states that an employer may pay different wages if based on merit, seniority, or when the employer can demonstrate that it's based on legitimate bona fide factors other than sex, such as training, education, experience, quality, or quantity of production. So it's in the bill. It's not going to mandate that you pay people the same for different work. Just to wrap up, I'm asking you again to support the passage of a resolution supporting the act, put it on the agenda for the next meeting before it goes back in front of the legislature and the Senate. There is time to have an impact, and there should be a place in our state political process for citizens to come forward, pass their concerns on to their local government, and for the local governments to pass it up the line. I am asking for you, on behalf of the women of the state of New Jersey, and more importantly, the women of Howell Township, to pass a resolution informing State Senator Singer that the bill is supported and that he should support it as well. The bill was vetoed in May of 2016. There has been plenty of time for the legislature and the governor to work out their differences. The passage of a resolution of support won't stop them from continuing to do that. In fact, it may ensure that it gets done.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Barry Siegel?
Barry Siegel, Brick Township, Rental and Howe. It's a question I'm asking for the planning board and the zoning board. There are people that walk in this township. A lot of places do not have sidewalks.
God bless
especially when we're having development, not the developments like Greenleaf coming in, all these developments, the strip malls and so forth. Route 9, I thank you for putting sidewalks in. I thank on Lanes Mill putting it in. But a lot of times, to get into it, there's no sidewalks put in. Like the Greenleaf where LA Fitness is going in, originally it looked like there was going to be a sidewalk. There's no sidewalk coming into there. So people who are handicapped or have to walk into the gutter with the traffic. And we know how traffic feels about people walking. Don't anyone on the planning board or zoning board think about people walking or have a sidewalk to put in? According for where LA Fitness is going in, they said, oh, the only thing we got is just the sidewalks around the building. Everything else is just cutouts, 4 cutouts there. But a person has to completely walk through. But you put in a sidewalk from Route 9 to the middle. Why can't it be done with everything else? People walk. Not everyone takes cars. It only helps to think of that. It's common sense. Maybe I know 95% of the people drive, but there are a few that walk. And it helps to put a sidewalk to help them. It's enough they do the grass, have to walk the shoulder or whatever, and cars don't give them the right of way even though they're supposed to. So maybe please, in the future, ask your planning board and zoning board to make sure they put in sidewalks. And I have one more thing, the crossings. Like you did on Lanes Mill, going toward Home Depot. A lot of people go to the crossing of nowhere. One side will have a sidewalk to cross it, you'll just have a cutout to reach the traffic signal. But if you're an ADA on a motor scooter or wheelchair, where could they turn around? All it is enough to go up there, press a button, but they can't turn around. They have to go backwards and still go in the gutter to cross. Can't you at least, if you do something like that, add a little more sidewalk, this way someone could turn around or whatever? Just a suggestion. And another thing, I was at Lanes Mill and Maxim Southern, eastbound, where you have the stop sign and you put the red blinking light. There's a problem there. I called the traffic safety officer because the line of sight is so bad. Cars have to go halfway into oncoming traffic to see if a car's coming or what. You know what the blow-off answer I got? Oh, it's been going on for years. It's a slow process. We're slowly working on it. How long does it take to check the line of sight?
Mr. Siegel, can I ask you how long ago you called traffic safety on that?
About 2.5 weeks ago.
The only reason why I ask is if you've gone through there recently, they've made a bunch of changes to that intersection.
Well,
For the line of sight, for the stop line, because you're
I went
right, that was a
there
bad
last week.
intersection. Okay. 'Cause that is
And
bad.
I didn't see any change
Yeah,
in
they
line of
did.
sight.
If you did, they cut down bushes and trees on both sides of that intersection. Yeah,
I'll
take
check
a
again.
and they moved the stop line because you're right, that was a bad intersection.
Yeah.
And the crash data backed that one up. That's
Yes.
why we were able to.
And also on Lanes Mill from Walmart, it would have been nice if they put a traffic light where Walmart was too, because a lot of times, people go in to go straight, because of the 2 lanes for the turn, people can't get through it, and cars will not leave a little space and everything. And when there is an opening, you got the cars from Walmart coming, or you got the light from there, and that's where your problem is at the jug handle. They didn't, DOT really correct it that well.
If I remember correctly, and I think that was brought up in a public meeting like this, and I think the answer that we were given is that due to the proximity of the traffic light at Kent Road, Lanes Mill Road, and the traffic light at Route 9, Lanes Mill Road, it was too close, that they couldn't do
Yeah.
that.
Because they're saying, go to the next light, the Jughead, no at Estelle, if you're going to BJ's. But if you're going straight, it could take sometimes 3 or 4 times
Sure.
to get through, because
Sure.
it's too much of a bottleneck.
And to get out of Walmart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thank you very much for your time, everyone.
Thank you.
You have a good evening.
Is there anyone else?
Hello again. I'm Patricia Donovan, and I'm here about, our house is 11 East Second Street, and I'm here about the demolition at 15 East Second Street. I was here last month. And I just want to know what the status is on that. I have been in touch with Mr. Mayfield, but I'm getting some conflicting information.
Sure. I can give the update. I got an update as recently as yesterday, actually. Originally, as you know, the property was going to be sold by the township with the house on it. After you were here the last meeting, I looked into that, and I learned that it would expedite the process significantly if we, the township, paid the expenses to tear that house down and then sold the property on a clean lot due to asbestos and other potential hazardous materials that are within that house. So it's still going to take a couple of months because it's in the hands of the contractors to come up with pricing so that we don't get continuous changes or requests. So we are in the process that doesn't move fast, but it's going to move a lot faster than had we sold that lot with the house on it. Because the concern there was if we sold it with the house on it, and then the buyer went in there and they identified some materials that weren't necessarily identified by their contractor, they could say that the township failed to disclose that, and that could hold it up in potential litigation potentially for a year or 2 years. So although we had to get repricing to tear the house down ourselves, it's still going to move much quicker.
Okay, so that does not take care of the fact that, we're now into the growing season. There's big problems there. There are things that you could be doing to be proactive on. And once again, our quality of life and the pictures, I will bring new pictures in and show you just how awful it is to live next to it. The quality of life is awful there. I did contact the utilities, and there has been no request for letters of disconnect.
Yes, there is. That's not true. And I have
I
documentation.
called them today, and each one of them said no. Nobody has contacted them for letters of disconnect.
We have requests in all the utility companies for it to be disconnected.
Okay, well, I'm telling you what the utility said. That's JCP&L, that's New Jersey American Water, and that's New Jersey Natural Gas Company. There has been no attempt to remove the raccoons from the house, all the feral cats, the dead kitten, that just did not survive the winter. And we had contacted, I guess Howell has animal control, and they said unless it's on our property, that they will not just leave cages there. And of course, you're going to have to do this prior to the demolition. The other thing is, we're coming into a time when the rodents are going to be prolific. They're going to start coming out of the houses and hibernation and whatnot, and it's never been treated. We don't have any rodent control over there except for the cats, which is one of the good things about the cats. But there are things you can do to be proactive. Now, you say a couple of months. Are we talking, I mean, can you give me a realistic?
I can only say so much because it's in the hands of the construction companies that'll do the demolition. Because they have to go in there and they have to evaluate it, because they have to know what the cost of the abatement's gonna be of the different materials that are in there.
Okay, and there is a process to go through, but this is not something that should take months and months and months to do. Have you chosen a contractor yet?
No.
So you haven't even chosen a
Oh,
contractor?
no, the contractors have been notified to give us prices, yes.
Okay, no, that's not what I asked. Have you chosen a contractor yet?
Who's gonna do the work?
Yes.
No, because we haven't gotten the pricing back from the multiple contractors that we're required to solicit by law.
Okay, 3 contractors?
Mhm.
Okay, and see, now this is where I'm getting a little confused, because I was told that the contractors have already been notified, and I was under the assumption that a contractor had been chosen. So, have 3 contractors been selected?
Yes, because actually, as I read the update, we're waiting on the pay-to-play paperwork from them, and we have to determine if we're going to need a resolution from the governing body or not, depending what the price comes in at, that we just don't have yet.
And do these contractors have a time limit that they must get back to you on?
No.
I mean, we could go on forever just waiting for a contractor to supply an estimate for demolition.
But if you put too much of a stringent of a time limit on them, they might just say they don't want the work, and then we never identify a contractor.
Okay, so we can come to a reasonable time frame here. I mean, are we talking about living through another summer of a horrific condition next door?
We've let them know that we want this done as soon as they can possibly do it, so that we can move forward on our end to get the paperwork and the things that we have to do by law in place.
Okay, so let me just understand this, that at this moment, at this point in time, you have asked contractors you have solicited bids from contractors, you have not told them that they have to have it in by a certain date, you're just waiting for them to get it in when they can, and if one turns it in tomorrow and one turns it in November of this year, then
Well,
then
no,
it'll be
once
three.
we get a price or two, if the other ones fail to submit, then we can abide by the law saying that we attempted and we did our due diligence. But we have to give them a reasonable amount of time to be able to
Okay,
develop
and
their
what
price.
would that reasonable amount of time be? I'm just trying to figure out if we're going to be able to enjoy.
We are following up with the contractors each week.
Okay, so this has been 4 weeks now.
I'm sick of it.
I'm not sure what else you want me to
Okay.
do.
Oh, well, I mean, what I would like is to have them, they have 6 weeks to supply you with a bid, covering all kinds of hazardous material removal. And as I said, you can become proactive, and get the animal control out there to remove the raccoons, the cats, whatever else is out there that may not, may not belong in that site and may have to be removed prior to demolition. The house could be baited.
I'll look into it.
And the letters of disconnect. I mean, you can get letters of disconnect. It's been vacant for so long, the utilities can go out there and disconnect at the
Those
curb
They
immediately.
have already been requested. We've already submitted those requests.
Then there's a little disconnect between the utilities and what they have on record, because I was told there has been nothing that's been requested. All right, I will come back next month, next 2 weeks, and I'll have a picture to show you what we're living next to. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience that wants to come up and speak? Well, then I will close the public session at this time. Can we, has everyone reviewed the consent agenda?
I have no problem. No questions, no statements.
Would we want to make a,
Would you like me to make a motion?
yes?
To move 9A1 through 9A24?
Plus motions.
I'm sorry?
Plus motions, motion 1 and 3.
Oh, yes, plus motions 1 and 3.
Thank you.
Second.
Roll call?
Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes.
Next item is the resolution 9A25, labor attorney.
I'd like to make a motion for our labor attorneys to consist of Cleary, Maccabi, Alfieri, and Jacobs, as well as O'Donnell, McCord, McDonald, and McCord.
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes. The ordinances?
Ordinances.
Okay, ordinance number 0-17-1, introduced and passed on the first reading on 1/24/17 and published. According to law, it is now being taken up for further consideration and public hearing. Affidavit of publication of this ordinance in the Asbury Park Press issue of 2/2/17 is submitted and is noted that a copy of the ordinance has been posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, and that copies are available to the general public upon request. I'd like to open the meeting for discussion.
I'm just going to read the title of the ordinance. An ordinance of the Township of Howell, Monmouth County, New Jersey, creating a new Chapter 18 entitled Code of Ethics and Conduct to govern the solicitation of sealed proposals for professional service contracts and code of ethics.
I would like to open up for any public discussion. There being none, I would entertain a motion.
No, close it first.
I would close the public session and entertain a motion. Someone?
You want me to? Okay. Motion that ordinance number O-17-1 be finally passed and adopted, and that notice of its passage and adoption be published in the 3/16/17 issue of the Asbury Park Press by reference to its title only.
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes. The next ordinance, number 017-2, introduced and passed on the first reading on 1/24/17 and published according to law, is now being taken up for further consideration and public hearing. Affidavit of publication of this ordinance in the Asbury Park Press issue of 2/2/17 is submitted, and is noted that a copy of the ordinance has been posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, and that copies are available to the general public upon request. I would open up the meeting for public discussion.
I'll just read into
sorry.
the record the title, no problem. An ordinance amending Chapter 2-35 entitled Department of Community Development and Land Use of the Revised General Ordinances of the Township of Howell to amend the 6-member Lake Restoration and Wildlife Committee to a 7-member and 3 alternate Lake Restoration and Wildlife Committee.
And now I would like to open up to the public. There being no discussion, I'd like to close and entertain a motion, please.
Motion that ordinance number O-17-2 be finally passed and adopted, and that motion of its passage and adoption be published in the March 16, 2017 issue of the Asbury Park Press by reference to its title only.
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell? Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes. Ordinance number 0-17-3, introduced and passed on first reading on 2/7/17 and published according to the law, is now being taken up for further consideration and public hearing. Affidavit of publication of the ordinance in the Asbury Park Press issue of 2/16/17 is submitted, and is noted that a copy of the ordinance has been posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, and that copies were available to the general public upon request. I'd like to open this to the general public for discussion.
I'm going to quick read the title of the ordinance.
Maybe I'll remember.
An ordinance of the Township of Howell, Monmouth County, New Jersey, amending Article 26 entitled Sewer Connections and Sewer Users, Chapter 139-78 entitled Sewer User Charges of the Revised General Ordinances of the Township of Howell.
And now I'd like to open to the public. Seeing there none, I would like to close and request a motion.
Motion that ordinance number O-17-3 be finally passed and adopted, and that notice of its passage and adoption be published in the March 16, 2017 issue of the Asbury Park Press by reference to its title only.
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes. Ordinance number 0-17-4, introduced and passed on first reading on 2/7/17 and published according to the law. It's now being taken up for further consideration and public hearing. Affidavit of publication of the ordinance in the Asbury Park Press, issue of 2/16/17, is submitted and is noted that a copy of the ordinance has been posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building and that copies are available to the general public. Ms. Wolin?
An ordinance amending Chapter 139-24, fees. Article 14, 139-24, entitled Hazardous Materials, to standardize the filing schedule and instructions for completing the hazardous materials storage disclosure form and submission of associated fees.
I would like to open for public discussion. There being none, I would like to close and entertain a motion.
Motion that ordinance number 017-4 be finally passed and adopted, and that notice of this passage and adoption be published in the March 16, 2017 issue of the Asbury Park Press by reference to its title only.
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes. Ordinance number 0-17-5, introduced and passed on the first reading on 2/7/17 and published according to law, has now been taken up for further consideration and public hearing. Affidavit of publication of this ordinance in the Asbury Park Press, issue of 2/16/17, is submitted and is noted that a copy of the ordinance has been posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building and that copies are available to the general public. Ms. Wolin?
An ordinance amending Chapter 168-27, entitled Hazardous Spills Reimbursement, to allow expenditures from this account to be allocated for costs associated with training, education, remediation, and mitigation of hazardous spills, in addition to being used for reimbursement purposes.
I would take this time to open to the general public.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Barbara Dixell, 62A Piazza Vittoria, Freehold, New Jersey.
Good evening.
I want to ask you, we have a thing in the villages where we've been going on with this for a while, a couple of years now. They're using something called smart shingles roofing granules that are 3M, and they are known to cause cancer. We've been fighting it and fighting it. Does that, I know you people have a hazardous materials ordinance on the books now. Is this going to help us get any remediation from these things?
No. This was a request I made because we have a trust fund that funds go into when the Office of Emergency Management goes on to a hazardous call. And the trust fund was only allowed to use for supplies. And this now allows them to use those funds for other purposes as well, which was noted in the ordinance. Has nothing to do with remediation
So we're
of,
still beating our brains out and fighting this?
yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? At this time, I would like to close the public portion. Ms. Wolin?
A roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Was
Yes.
the motion made?
Oh,
I
I'm
don't think
sorry.
the
I
motion.
did.
Motion.
Oh, you
I'd
know
like
what?
Motion, you're going to read?
I apologize, you're right, no motion was
That
made.
was-
Motion that ordinance number 017-5 be finally passed and adopted, and that notice of its passage and adoption be published in the March 16th, 2017 issue of the Asbury Park Press by the reference to its title only.
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes. Motion to introduce ordinance number 0-17-6.
Will be read by a council person.
Oh,
You get carried away.
I was on a roll.
Yeah.
Right.
Motion to introduce ordinance number 0-17-6 on first reading by title and to order the same to be published in the March 16, 2017 issue of the Tri-Town News together with notice of its introduction and passage on first reading by title and that it will be further considered for final passage after a public hearing at a meeting of the Township Council to be held on April 4, 2017 at 7:30 p.m. prevailing time in the municipal building.
Second.
Let's see, title of ordinance. An ordinance authorizing the sale of property, Block 191, Lot 7-9, in the Township of Howell, County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey, pursuant to NJSA 40A:12-13 et sec. Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes.
Mayor, just on unfinished business, and it's not unfinished business, but Jeff, on the discussion we had before on Arnold Boulevard, the gentleman left and I was doing some research on our emails. It was suggested that maybe that area will be possibly targeted as an enforcement area,
It is.
and that we'll have to do that by ordinance. So can we look, and if that's the case, that they're still recommending that we have that ordinance prepared?
Okay, I'll look into
You want me to
that.
send you that email? It was from,
Sure.
Okay.
And I also did get some feedback, they're not looking to change that speed limit to 50.
It was 45, it wasn't 50, but nevertheless,
They're leaving it as is.
yeah. Just that the officer made a recommendation that it becoming a target enforcement area through ordinance,
No problem.
which makes the court mandatory visit and a higher fine.
Okay.
Is there any information? Anybody? Should I read the meeting dates? The regular meeting on Tuesday, March 21, will have executive session at 6:30 and regular session at 7:30. Tuesday, April 4th, we'll have executive session at 6:30, regular at 7:30. A special meeting on Thursday, April 6th, at Middle School South, 220 Ramtown, Greenville, is a discussion on affordable housing plan. And then a regular meeting on April 18. There will be an executive session and a regular session. Limited regular agenda items, and we'll continue discussion on the affordable housing plan. I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.